Welcome to Legacy Cast, where we talk about your story, your way, and what are you doing to make sure that people know about you many generations from now. Good morning, Legacy Cast listeners. This is James Snow, your host for Legacy Cast, and I would like to welcome this morning Yvonne, my guest, Yvonne Garris. How are you doing this morning, Yvonne?
I'm great. How are you, James?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. It's a nice early brisk morning here in Texas, so it's still cooler than 130. So we're doing pretty well this morning, and I guess temperatures are more favorable for you there where you're at, right?
A little bit. Our heat wave has broken, so I can actually have my doors open, which is always wonderful.
Oh yeah, just really nice. Yeah, we open the doors here, and I think the wildlife tries to come in and get a reprieve from the heat. So unfortunately, we have to keep all the doors closed, windows shut, and air conditioners humming. So that's really nice here in Texas. So as the program name would imply, we do have a program that kind of focuses on legacy, but it's not how a lot of people think. It's a program focused on what are you doing to tell your story your way so that people many generations from now will know who you are and what mattered. So with the first thing I like to reach out to people is kind of asking Yvonne, what does having a legacy mean to you?
Well, it means telling my story because I was sighted for the first 40 years of my life, and now I'm legally blind.
Okay.
So the legacy I want to leave or let people know is that you don't have to stop your life, or your life doesn't have to end because just you might become disabled. Sure.
I mean, that's really a huge thing, and I'm sorry, obviously that's been something that you've had to deal with, but so I take it that you feel like that's a fairly important consideration that people look at is, with themselves, how to create a legacy, whether it be, because of a hardship in your case or for other reasons?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So how would you, from a business standpoint, how would you say that you correlate that into what you do on a daily basis?
Well, actually, that's pretty much the whole reason I started my business. Mm-hmm. Because after I lost my sight, I found that when you become disabled, there is a lot of rehab and that helps you learn your daily living skills.
Sure.
But nothing helps you really figure out what you're supposed to do now that you're disabled. It's like, okay, well, you're disabled and now you know how to cook and tie your shoes, and good luck. Mm-hmm. And you can't do your job anymore, but, it's like you're left with, well, what are you supposed to
do? Yeah, that's pretty tough. Personally, I don't know how I would be able to cope with that. So, kudos to you for being able to, not only come to terms with it and, get past that, but then to also build a business that helps other people to do the same thing, because that's very commendable. From a CEO standpoint, though, if you were to think about your business and its future, what would you say the things are that kind of bother you and concern you, keeping you up at night, or are there some?
The biggest thing is to find the people and that I need to reach, mm-hmm. because it's so hard to figure out. A lot of them still are not online.
Right.
And it just bothers me that the rehab services just let you high and dry. And I need to figure out how to bridge that gap. That just really bothers me, and I stay up at night trying to figure out how to bridge the gap.
And a lot of the people that don't have a disability are not aware that there is that gap, that doesn't exist, because we would assume that it does. but we would be assuming incorrectly, apparently.
Right. And also a lot of times I do training as well,
Mm-hmm.
like hospitals and anybody else that I feel could use training, or if they reach out to me, because if people do like put in new oh, I'm sorry, stop signals, traffic lights,
Okay.
that you have audible pedestrian signals,
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't cost that much extra to make them audible pedestrian signals, but people, the the cities do not think about how it would impact their blind population to just make them audible. And a lot of times the blind population isn't even consulted to find out which one would be the best
Mm-hmm.
to put in, because there's several different ones. There's ones that chirp. There's one that actually say the name of the street.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had that here in our city, that our town didn't really want to work with the blind population, and we got something that didn't really work very well for our blind population. So,
well, and that just kind of goes to that point I was saying a minute ago, that the people that don't have a disability don't really think about that, and I would hope that it's not out of malice that they don't think about it, but just out of ignorance, perhaps, that they just don't know, and it doesn't occur to them.
exactly, because I went to college after I lost my sight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking through the library one time, and I said, because I have a little bit of sight, and I said, well, that the one plant was one of my landmarks.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I found my way through the library. And I heard one of the librarians say, oh, I better not move it, because she heard me say it's my landmark. And it's just one of those things that you don't know unless you ask.
Right.
And the blind population is really not that big, so it's hard to get the word out.
Yeah, and so I guess it then becomes incumbent on the rest of us that we should we should be advocates for that. And it's a good thing for you to be on the program today, is because that does help get the word out. And certainly for my listener base, I hope that this kind of makes an impact on people, that these statements need to be had, and people do need to be involved with their with their local city governments, and when they have the council meetings and what have you, go to those things and put those words in, that these things need to be in place. Whether you need it or not, it may be that you don't need it today, but tomorrow you may, and somebody that's close to you may be needing this. So go ahead and just do this stuff, and get things put into place, because like you say, it doesn't cost all that much more to put in something that's going to help somebody, but it sure does save a lot of anguish by having it there. So wow, my hat's off to you for what you're doing in your particular world, and with your business focus.
Well, thank you.
So do you believe it's important that people put some sort of within their businesses, do you believe it's important that they put some sort of strategy in place?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because without a strategy, you're just sort of going haphazardly down the road, and how are you going to know where you want to go without a map, basically? Mm-hmm. How are you going to get to California from Pennsylvania if you don't have your map?
Yeah.
You might land up in Texas.
That's true. And
I mean, that might be a good thing, but not if you want to get to California.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I think Texas is better than California, but that's another conversation for another day.
Well, that's true. But I have a friend that lives in Texas there too. So I mean, I'd like to go to Texas sometime, but I mean, a strategy is a map that gets you to where you want to go.
Yeah, and that's something I tell people, when I'm doing my consulting with them is that, it really is. It is that roadmap that gets you to where you want to go, in the manner that you want to get there. And, not only that part of it, but it also lets you know, where the roadblocks are, where the difficulties might come in and help you avoid those. Because, it's like, the cliche goes, you don't know what you don't know. Having that strategy in place helps you to anticipate the things that you don't know.
Exactly.
So for a new entrepreneur, if you were to give them maybe some advice and be sort of coaching them, what would you say the common reason is that they either fail or just simply give up?
I would say that they don't get the coaching and help that they need. Once you start going and you just don't, is that what you just said, that you don't know what you don't know? Mm-hmm. You need to get help and you need to get some mentorship and coaching.
Sure.
So you can get to the next level and, find your map and your strategies and how you're going to get there. If you don't have that, you're going to end up giving up because it's hard.
It is. They say that 90% of people that try to start a business end up failing one reason or another. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that is because they don't have something put in place ahead of time. I know just from a financial standpoint that if you don't have that side of it taken care of, that's about 40% of the businesses that go under is not having that financial plan put in place for your business that accounts for those unforeseens. And so just taking care of that part of it would certainly help give people an advantage. Not to mention having an overall business plan that helps them understand the other things.
There's always stuff that comes up that needs more money.
Sure. And, it doesn't have to cost a lot, but if you don't do it ahead of time, then it costs a lot more later because it has to come out of your pocket instead of, some other alternative.
Exactly.
So what would be some specific roadblocks that you would advise a new business owner to watch out for?
Well, you need to get your website up and running. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to get that going. And you need to make sure that you have I would suggest getting someone to help you. Mm-hmm. Because the biggest roadblock is if you get infected and you're not backed up.
Right.
And that would be the biggest, I would say, roadblock. And get coaching. Mm-hmm. That's because without that, you're just going to run into roadblocks, just little roadblocks.
Yeah. So as far as support and resources for somebody that's starting out in business, what would you say some of those are that you would recommend to people, that they look for to maybe help ease, that process?
I would go on, I found most of mine on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And through some blind, my friend, I've hooked up through some friends that are blind because being blind. So, and I work with non-businesses. So mm-hmm. Some of this is kind of a stretch for me.
Okay.
I have gotten on